Okay, so welcome everybody. Here we are. Lovely Sunday afternoon, Sunday morning for me. And the reason why we chose this topic, how to write in scenes, is because often we get manuscripts that are written in the way that I wrote my first draft, i.e., a very boring narration of minute details, step by step. And then sometimes you get a chapter where everything happens in the first 3 pages, from birth to marriage to divorce. And it's like, hang on, slow it right down. I want to be there with you and experience the feelings you felt when you get married at 19, and then at 35 you realize your life is over, and then you make the step to divorce, whatever. Those are those key moments in narratives that you actually want to slow down and take the reader into the scene with you so that the reader can feel the emotions and the emotional conflicts that you're feeling, and that then led you to take certain decisions that change the narration, or rather the course of the narrative, whether it's fiction or non-fiction. So for me, as most of you will know, I published a memoir with this ripping title. um, and when I first started writing it as a memoir, I did write it a little bit like an essay. Here's my essay about grief. And when I showed it to people, they said, we want to feel the emotions. It's not an academic paper about the 5 stages of grieving. It should be a narration. And then I realized I had to write it like a fictional plot. Not that I fictionalized the events, but the way I structured it followed the same conventions of works of fiction. So, in other words, I wrote it as a plot-driven story. And the key for me was when I learned how to write in scenes. Most of you would have read the newsletter, because that's probably how you ended up here, where I already explained that I was very lucky. I had a coach, Wendy Dale, who lives in Cusco, Peru, and the first thing she taught me is you have to write in scenes. Oftentimes, when we learn how to do creative writing, we're told show, don't tell. And me included, writing teachers are very fond of reminding students you have to appeal to the five senses. But sometimes that's all we do. So I had these lovely chapters where there's a lot of five senses stuff in there, but I didn't really know that I had to write in distinct scenes. So, in other words, rather, what makes a story interesting is when you, the reader, are at the edge of your seat and you want to know what happens next. Yeah. And when you feel like, that's why we love movies, sob movies. I watched something last night. I was sobbing and I'm like, oh my God, what happened? Well, maybe it was a great script. I was right there in the emotional turmoil of the characters. And also, as Edwina taught me at the time, you want your protagonist to remain suspended between hope and fear. You want to be, hoping, oh my God, I hope he'll make it. Oh my God, he's got another diagnosis. What's going to happen now? And this is my example because I was writing about my husband being diagnosed with cancer straight after our honeymoon, so to speak. So, in other words, writing in scenes is one way of showing, not telling your story. And of course, scenes are very short and compact, so you can't cram so much into it. So you really need to know, where does the scene begin and where does it end? And the scene begins when something happens. In other words, scenes equal events. Um, you go into a cafe, you have a conversation with your friend, you exit the cafe, end of scene. I'll read you a scene in a minute from my book that Edwina thinks makes a good point of this. So scenes are also the building blocks of plot, because these are the moments when something happens. And in between your scenes, you can have what my friend, or now friend, then writing coach, Wendy Dale, calls transitions. That is where you can condense and summarize the narrative to fill the reader in, what happened in between the marriage breaking up and the divorce or whatever. And every scene exists because something happens. I had many wonderful scenes that I spent days, weeks crafting, and they're beautiful, but they were not relevant to the story. So at the end, when I pitched my memoir, I had to just be really ruthless, kill your darlings. And I just had to go slash, slash. Nothing is ever wasted because, of course, by writing those scenes, you still learn, you're just training the writing muscle. So it's not like you've wasted it. So if a scene is not relevant to the story, it has no reason to exist. And every scene has to somehow also build to a main event. And Edwina will take you through a writing exercise later where that becomes clear. So, in other words, Edwina has many, many, many students where she edits the memoirs, or rather their stories, not memoir. And I have taught many students over the years. And the main thing, which we all struggle with, is structure. So once you know how to write scenes, you actually will find your structure because the structure is created by linking those scenes together, by making one main event relevant to the next, or in other words, by connecting one main event to the next one. So let me give you an example from my book. Some of you have read it, I know. And this is from my first chapter. So I spent a lot of time on the first chapter because, as we all know, you lose, as you know, from being readers. You pick up a book and you go, that's really boring. I had this experience with Trent Dalton's Boy Swallows Universe. It took me a year to get beyond the first chapter. And when I got beyond that first chapter, I was like, wow, I could not put the book down. But that first chapter did not grab me. But then he's Trent Dalton, so obviously I persevered. But had he been somebody unknown, I probably wouldn't have persevered. So the first chapter, you have to make it really pop. And a good way to do that is to write it as scenes. This scene is the last scene of my first chapter, and that first chapter of mine is actually in its entirety only 5 pages long. The morning light is blinding, and my hangover is shocking. The hospital is a left turn, the airport a right. There are daily flights to Bali. In my purse, I have my brand new Australian passport, 2 credit cards, and $500 in cash. My carry-on is already packed with the essentials for a tropical holiday. Straight ahead is a road into the desert, the great Australian outback where anything is possible. The roads are empty. The tradies have long gone to work. The professionals are parked in the shade of their office buildings, and the last of the parents in their big SUVs are coming back from the school run. I'm driving against the flow as I seem to have done for the past 12 months, ever since Johnny's cancer diagnosis. I let the traffic lights go orange, red, green, and orange again until I hear the honking of a horn behind me. I jolt forward like I'm on my first driving lesson, startled and scared of the road ahead, unable to choose where to turn. I move into the middle lane, and as I do so, a postcard falls from my bag onto the passenger seat. In the end, these things happen the most. How well did you love? How fully did you live? How gracefully did you let go? The words are said to have been spoken by the Buddha. Could finding the road ahead start by asking new questions? I press my foot down on the accelerator. And that's it. That's the end of chapter 1. And most people tell me, oh, now I'm hooked. I want to turn the page and see what happens next. Where does she go? The outback, the desert? Does she jump off a cliff? And I can't tell you how many pages I had after that that I had written. And then Wendy said, no, cut. That's it. The reader is already hooked. You don't need to give them any more detail at this point. So that is the scene that I then, of course, included in the sample pages that I sent out to publishers. And so that's when I say it needs. I'm just checking the time. It needs to really grip the reader. So over to Edwina. I think I've talked for 10 minutes.
You can see from Kerstin's scene there too. She didn't start with her waking up and then getting her coffee and then, packing her bag. It started at the point of making the decision. So that's something to remember too when you're writing your scenes. Get in as late as possible and leave as early as possible. So Raymond Carver's editor actually created Raymond Carver's style by chopping off huge big swathes, pages and pages of the ends of stories. So when Kerstin leaves us with that decision unmade, where she's in the middle lane, where she could still turn left or she could still turn right, we are still there with her because we are suspended between that hope and fear. So people who have been to my workshops know I bang on about the hope and fear a lot. So what do we do with our own writing? So if you've written a first draft, so my latest first draft that I wrote was in 30-minute bursts. So it was a whole lot of telling, like most of my first drafts are. It doesn't matter how long you've been writing. When you get to sit there and look at your first draft, you'll notice, maybe to your great regret, that it is a lot of telling. So you have to find a way, you have to find where the scenes are. Where is a good place to find a scene? And there is a great amount of power. So as Kerstin says, the scenes are the building blocks of your book. As prose writers, so as screenwriters, you only have scenes. As prose writers, we get those little bridging passages as well that can link them. But actually what I've found more and more is the less you rely on that telling bit and take us from scene to scene, even if there are gaps, the reader, we don't underestimate the intelligence of your reader, because leaving those gaps makes the reader interact more with your story and bring themselves in, and they're already thinking, what's going on? I'll just show you the difference too at the start of Thrill Seekers. So that's that one. So I could have just started with my father died when I was young. But instead, I take you right there with, look, see that box? My dad's in there, in that box they're putting into the ground. I can hear him scratching on the lid. I want to scream and jump in after the clump of dirt they get me to throw, pull off the lid and rescue him. But my legs won't move, and I stand like an empty tin man as the mud thuds on top of the shiny wood, muffling the sound of his fingernails tearing. So you can see that's a whole lot more powerful than me saying my father died when I was young. That's the power of the scene. So just having a think now, who's got works in progress? Let me see everybody. Yeah, okay. So having a look or having a think now, okay, where would be somewhere that I haven't maybe done as a scene that could be a scene? Okay. So what you would do is I would, ideally it's nice to print out our manuscripts as well. If you've got a whole first draft, go through and start circling all those bits. So if you've got a friend who reads for you, they might do that for you. It's always easier to do it for somebody else than for yourself. But go through and think, okay, that bit where I've just said Sophie went missing at her 10th birthday party, instead, focus in. We're going to do the birthday party as the scene. Okay. And then you have to think, okay, how do I actually write a scene? So, Kerstin, how do you start when you start thinking, okay, I've got to write this scene? What starts off for you?
Yeah, first of all, I did also make a scene list. I found that very helpful. I need the scene at the hospital. I need a scene, in the car making decision and so on. And then I like to start in the middle of things, in medias res, like as you say, you take the reader straight there. So rather than, as you say, me going, oh, I've got a shocking hangover, I'm going to take an aspirin, then I drink some water, then I think about it. No, I'm in the car already driving and the blinding light. That's all you need. So I think the idea for me is always what is a nice, and I used to be, because I used to be a travel writer, I used to write a lot about, oh, and then there was a beautiful sunset and I write a whole paragraph about the sunset. No, you don't need that. You can just say the sunset was, whatever, and the sky turned amber or whatever, or golden or whatever. That's enough. So yes, take the reader straight into the mind of the protagonist. You give a little bit of exterior detail, i.e. setting, but I find it also very useful to be inside the protagonist's mind, so that I can actually be part of that emotional dilemma that they're going through.
Yeah, that's good. I'll just
And
show.
dialogue. And another way, because the next chapter, because then I thought, okay, I need to have the chapter 2, which is, of course, another one of those sample chapters you send out to publishers. I thought, right, I need to start in another way that somehow pops. So I used dialogue, and that is also a very, I find, effective way to start a scene. So the next chapter is, it's a book launch, not my wedding day. I say, squeezing the body that doesn't feel like mine into tight layers of coral red silk. So you get a lot of information in that one sentence.
And it's straight from the other scene to this scene. So that's another good rule too, or good idea, is never take the reader where they want to go. They want to go with Kerstin and know whether she's going to turn left or turn right. But instead of taking them there, we take them back. So that's we want to hook them in and then sort of send them off in another direction. So they have to keep reading to find out what they wanted to know before. So that's a good thing to keep in mind. So doing that setting at the beginning of the scene is very important. I'll just share an article from my website here. Here it is. Hopefully it'll work. Can everybody see a picture of a ship? Okay,
Yes.
great. So this is just on my website. So this is 6 easy steps to write a scene. So the first thing we have to do is, I just have to admit people. Here we go. Here they come. Is ground the reader in where the scene is taking place, especially if we're moving from scene to scene. And it might be different times, different place. It might be different characters, even if we've got multiple viewpoints. So grounding your reader in who is the main character in this scene, where is it, and when is it? Okay, so I wrote this when I was in my Castaway Cabin Boy phase, when I was writing that YA book. So it's all naval examples here. It had rained all night that summer of 1852 as the Enforcer wound its way between the outer islands of New Guinea. So you establish your setting. You ground us in where it is, and it's just one sentence. As Kerstin said, even if you write beautiful description, we don't have the luxury anymore of raving on for pages about the different fabrics in our lounge cushions. So there is then who. So how do you know if you're writing a scene? How do you know it's a scene and you're not just telling? Number one, you have setting. That's described, and you're using the 5 senses, hopefully, or at least a few of them. And then you have characters in action. So I would argue that a scene of a character just sitting thinking is not actually a scene, unless they are remembering something, in which case I would do a flashback scene. The more I work in screenplay, the more I think it's really effective just to go from scene to scene. And that because screens are so predominant now, that's the way readers are beginning to read as well. We don't need so much telling in between. What we do have the advantage of is using those 5 senses, and we also get the character's introspection, which is what Kerstin was talking about too. So who is our character in this scene? But we don't want them just sitting on a chair. We want them to be doing something. So remember, the most important word in characters is act. So they take action. That's how we know who our characters are, by the actions that they take. So in Kerstin's book, the decisions that she makes, the actions that she takes show us about her character. So here we've got Fred, the cabin boy, clung to the ropes. Okay, so as he climbed up the rigging to the crow's nest, cursing the captain under his breath for sending him up. So we've also got conflict. So how do you set up your scene? So, okay, that's a good scene. I want to have that scene. What every scene needs is conflict. It's not just a scene of Mary going to the hairdresser and getting the haircut she wants. She can go to the hairdresser, but something has to go wrong. She can't get the haircut she wants. Something else has to happen. There has to be conflict in every scene. Yeah, sorry, Kirsten?
She'll end up having a fight with the hairdresser.
Yeah, she has to have a fight with the hairdresser. And even if it's like a love scene or something, get them to disagree. So get the characters in there and they're doing something. And we also want, when you're thinking about your scene, okay, which characters are in it and what is the goal of that character? So if it's your protagonist, you can think about the overall story goal and moving them between hope or fear. And will this scene make us think, yes, this character is going to achieve their goal, or will it head us the other way, fearing that they won't and that the worst will happen? But also, what is their goal for this scene and only this scene? And what other characters are there and what is their goal? So Fred the cabin boy's goal is to maybe survive the storm, and the captain's goal is to get his cargo to port as quickly as possible so he can make his money. He doesn't really care about cabin boys' lives. So action, action, action. How is this scene furthering your plot? So that's what I was just talking about. How does this scene move us from hope to fear or from fear to hope? And of course, you can do that several times within that one scene. So from the lookout, Fred saw the sun's glow leaking under mounds of cloud. They were steering perilously close to a storm with all sails flying. The captain was a madman. A wave crashed against the merchant ship and almost sent Fred flying, but he grabbed hold of the mast as it swung and lurched, creaking. So we've got fear, then we've got more fear, but he hung on. So we've got a little bit of hope. Okay, so you're always thinking movement between hope and fear. Which are the different characters' goals? How can I make that conflict apparent in it? And then we really know we're writing in scenes when we've got dialogue. Dialogue does not happen when we are just telling. I mean, there might be little snippets, but mainly. So some people find dialogue really tricky. So my best advice is just write and write and write and write. And even if you've written a page of what Mary says, I want you to then trim it down to what Mary says in one line. Okay. The rule that I've been doing with my screenplay students this semester is no more than 4 lines of dialogue, and their lines are only this big in your dialogue block in screenplay. So it's probably 2 sentences max. So yeah, I just saw your face, Warby. So just have a look. And how can you minimize? Of course, sometimes you will need more. So, really have a look, but make sure that your characters are speaking at cross purposes. Each character is following their own agenda. So Fred called down to the captain at the wheel, "Storm ahead, pull in the rigging. You giving orders now, I'll have your hide. Keep your eyes out for rocks, boy," the captain roared up. "But the storm. No storm has ever stopped me." Boy, it sounds like a bit of ego going on there. The captain turned the wheel hard left, heading straight for the black-bellied clouds. Okay, so there's conflict in the dialogue itself. And then we want to end on a cliffhanger, just as Kerstin's scene ended, without the decision being made. So I wouldn't show the ship reaching the storm in the scene, only that Fred was very worried and in danger. And then we follow with a scene that doesn't answer it. So we just keep pushing them on. Instead of going to the ship in the storm, I perhaps do a flashback scene of Fred being punished by the captain earlier, or something about their relationship, or the captain making a deal that he would get it to Jakarta by a what did it be? Batavia, it was called back in those days, back to Batavia. So following those 6 easy steps should make it a bit easier. So that's just go to my
Maybe you
website.
can share that link.
Yeah. Well, if you just go to my website and type in scene in the box, all the articles I've written on scenes will come up. I think there are about 6 or 7. So just keep going, older posts. But there's one also about getting in late, leaving early. That's the introvert guide to leaving to writing scenes. Introvert partygoers guide. Yeah, we arrive late, we say hello to the host, make sure everybody sees us on the dance floor, and then we leave. So just apply that to your scenes. So now I thought we would write a scene. So if you have a project in mind, we're going to use, for those of you who are familiar with it, the Rodney Hall 10-sentence story starter. So I want you to do this one because I think it's a wonderful way of showing you how you can use setting details in your scenes to create the tone of the scene and the mood of the scene. So I want you to think of 2 characters who may or may not like each other, but that haven't seen each other for some period of time. It can be a short time or a long time, but they're somewhere where they could potentially meet. Okay, so let's just do a little relaxation now to get into our headspace for writing. So get your feet on the floor. Close your eyes, or if you don't want to close your eyes, just look down. And we're just going to relax our bodies, taking a breath in through the nostrils and then breathing out. Breathing in, feeling the air cool in the nostrils, cold for us Queenslanders. And exhaling, noticing how the breath has been warmed by the body. Breathing in. And with every exhale, letting the shoulders sink and soften. Just letting go, whole body softening, letting go, whole body softening and relaxing. I want you to go inside your head now, and if you've got an inner critic that's still hanging around, I want you to find where that critical voice lives, gives them a face. Okay, Sister Maxine, you're out of here. We're going to dig them out, chuck them out, throw them in the nearest body of water, plop, 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 plop. And now where that voice was, there's a gap in our mind. So I think of a bright colour. First colour that pops into your head, popping into your head, that bright colour, and filling up your whole mind, whole head space with that colour, letting it flow through your body, letting it shine out through your hands and your fingertips, shine out through your feet and your toes and through the skin in every direction, shining out through the skin as the body becomes more and more transparent. And we can go up into the ether and connect all of us all over the world. Make a giant rainbow of us together. Let's send it to all those places that need a bit of extra peace today. And then bringing your colour back and making your giant playground around yourself. Your cone of creative freedom. Okay. And I want you to think of one character. So maybe your main character for this scene. Where are they? What do they want? And I want you to visualize where they are. Okay, and gently bringing yourself back to the room because we're going to have a little look at the first sentence. Write one sentence about the weather. So describing the setting using the weather as your tool. Okay. So just writing one sentence about the weather. Okay. Let me have a look at everybody. Okay. Just one sentence. If you're writing a historical world or a fantasy world, you might need a little bit more than a sentence to set up where you are. Now, this one's very interesting. Number 2, people still look like they're writing. Okay. Sentence number 2, tell us about an object in that setting. So, a non-living thing. I mean, it depends if you think rocks are living. So, write just a quick description about an object. So, making that maybe tie in with your theme or helping us see the setting more. We've got keen writers. I can only see a few people, but it looks like they're all still busy beavers. Okay. Jess, you're my guide. All right. Now, for number 3, think about your main character, person A, and focus. So we're introducing them. Focus on an item of clothing they're wearing. So that's a good trick too. We don't need to describe the whole outfit, just one item of clothing. And does it do something? Are the pants falling down? Does the hat blow away? Okay, so have a go at number 3. What's that item of clothing? Okay. Okay. Now we go back to the weather. What's happening with the weather? It could be the same, or has it changed? Okay, how's everyone going? Then the next one, a sound, not speech. We're not getting up to the dialogue yet. A sound. What's the sound? So we're painting a full picture. And every sentence we write adds to the feeling and the tone of the scene. Okay. Oh, people are still beavering. Number 6, sentence number 6. Now, this is how we can use it. It's the objective correlative that T.S. Eliot talks to. Have a look at your object in sentence number 2 and use it to reflect the mood of the scene or the mood of your character. So the bag could split open, or the house can be falling down, or maybe the balloon floats up into the air happily. Yeah, the object reflecting the mood. And number 7, here comes person B. Person A gets their first glimpse of person B. So the other person is coming. Okay. Just a glimpse. How's everyone going? Good. Okay, great. Now, oh, I'm trying to do it sneakily. Stop it. Now look at number 5. So that was the sound. And just repeat the sound. It'd be quite haunting, that repeat of the sound. It's always good to keep that in your mind. How can I use sound? As well as smell, of course. We could chuck in a smell. Okay, number 9, almost done. Let's see. Look at number 3. Is the item of clothing. Okay, hopefully they didn't take the pants off, because what is the item of clothing doing now? So remember, it's all first draft. Don't get, cranky at yourself. Just anything will do. Okay. And here comes the last one, number 10. Person A, this is when we bring in the dialogue. Person A says something surprising or unexpected, like not just hello. So something that's different. Something the reader won't expect. pulling some funny faces. Okay. So then, I mean, this is the end of the exercise, but if I did a number 11, I would say person B says something else that is not answering the question of person A, or that's not responding to it, but pressing their own agenda forward. All right, so there, I've got the list up on the screen, so hopefully you can see everything now. So you can check. All right. Right, I might stop share so I can see you all now. Yes, that's better. Okay, how did you go? Erin, you don't look very happy. It didn't work out well. I mean, sometimes they're complete mess, these ones, so don't worry. Yeah.
It just went in a different direction, I guess. Not,
Oh,
I was hoping that I would write something about what I'm actually writing, my book, but it was just something very different.
what happened?
I just had a weird dream last night, and so it was about that.
Oh, okay. Do you mind, do you mind sharing it? Would you have a go?
Yeah, sure. I don't know if I can read my writing or if it's in the
Indecipherable.
It's very, very. I've scrawled.
Okay.
You want to read the whole thing?
Oh, well, you can just read the bits you're happy with if you like, or you can
I'm
tell
not
us
happy
what
with
happened.
anything.
Hmm?
I'm not happy with anything, so should I just read the whole lot?
Yeah, read the whole lot then.
Okay. I've scratched like heaps of things out, but no complaints, such perfection, but why so very cloudy? How is the weather so invisible, so perfect? No complaints, no goosebumps. There are so many clouds, white at their hearts, but pink and grey and red at their edges, depending on where they are in my vision. His collar stands stiff to accentuate his stubble jaw, yet loose with its upper button undone, tireless, showing he's so happy and casual, showing his happy, casual smile. The dark rumble behind me, cold, wind and rain, trying to show him my sadness. Trying to read my own writing. I'll just leave that out because I can't read it because my writing's so bad. Our something is met by his kind. So the coldness is met by his kind, strong smile. Thunder claps behind me. That's the sound.
Yes, good.
Wind me back in. How can the clouds be happy, clear, bright, and colourful, but dark and sad and mourning all at the same time? Lightning from the dark, angry, but making colours brighter. Why are you so sad? You seem tortured. Why? Thunder claps again. His clothes are now calmly on his soft drifting body. They're drifting softly across his body. Smile as white and holy as the cloth and smile of his teeth. Well, you dying was quite heartbreaking. I wondered when you'd be brave enough to come and visit me.
Oh, you had a dead people visiting you dream. Yeah, they're great dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there were lovely bits in there, and don't trash it. It's good.
I wish I could read my own writing. That'd be a good
I'm
start.
very brave for going first. Yeah. I mean, these can, is anybody happy with it? How did they turn out? Anyone get one that's, yeah, Jane, you want to have a go?
Jane. Oh, hello, Jane.
You want to unmute yourself, Jane? Yes, Jane Canizay.
Oh, thank you. All right. Kirsten might understand this a little more. Hopefully I paint the picture. The sun rose from dark blues to purples, rose, lilac, orange, and burst into daylight with clear, bright blue skies and vibrant sunshine, with only a slight breeze-like wind. The prayer flags were wrapped around the pole on the summit peak, white, yellow, red, green, and blue. Decades worth of weathered flags that had accumulated over the preceding 69 years. Her bright orange yellow down suit enclosed every inch of her tiny frame, from engulfing her beanie and head in a billowy hood, with an oversized waist tucked down to the pants, tucked down into her knee-high boots. None of this looks at all like it was made to fit her miniature frame on top of this mighty mountain, let alone her gender. The wind picked up, and every time I felt that across the cold blast across my bare eyes, I tucked deeper into my hood, but never quick enough. It was biting. I'll leave it there.
Oh, I could feel that chill.
Who's she going to bump
Jane
into there?
Huh?
At the summit.
Yeah.
Yeah, good
She
job.
actually climbed Everest base camp.
Oh, wow. Oh, Jane, you're
Yeah,
really brave.
very impressive. I met Jane at my book launch.
Ah,
I could
yeah.
feel that chilly wind and the prayer flags. That was
Yeah.
very much
Yeah,
present.
yeah.
Mm.
Who did she bump into up there? Did she bump into somebody?
Do you want that bit?
Yeah.
Yeah. So person A meets as both women, oh, where's the person? Gabby arrives to the sound of her mum's voice, the same tone she has used since infancy. Um, Still in darkness, but her heart was exploding. As both women embrace, it's the embrace of a mother and daughter, an embrace of pride and protection. All is invisible under these layers, but all we can see is their rosy cheeks. And then A says, Gabby, in that childhood voice, my beautiful girl, I'm so, so proud of you.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Not
I'm
get off
about
this mountain, it's mine.
I've just got to plug myself in, so I might disappear as I look for my cable.
Oh, that's lovely. Did your daughter really climb it with you?
Yes, yes.
Oh, what a fabulous thing to do. Lovely.
The ultimate bonding, mother-daughter bonding experience, I would
Yeah.
imagine.
And you
I've
both
never written it
survived.
like that before. It was nice to think of all the elements.
Yeah. Yeah. So I hope you got something out of that exercise where you on how to use the setting and sounds and clothing and little things like that. Anybody else like to share? I love hearing all the different stories.
I didn't want to share so much as just to say I find the exercise, because we did that before with you, it makes you see what the scene is. Like I just feel it's very like watching a little movie as you're doing it. So I just found it really useful. I mean, I had a scene that, things were changing around. So, but it was really, I just felt it's really useful. It's a good jumping off point for writing a scene. Like I could now work with that to actually do a scene, but what I did in that short time wasn't what I would want to do. That makes
Well,
sense.
and it's hard to be doing it like one sentence at a time,
Yeah.
but maybe well, just when you're thinking, okay, I'm writing a scene, okay, what were those 10 sentences? And even if you just remember three, like, okay, there was weather, there was a sound, and there was an object, or there was weather and there were an item of clothing and there was a sound or something, trying to use that to help set up your scene so that we're not just having like dialogue in a vacuum, and so that the reader knows immediately where we are by that setup with the weather.
And
Anybody?
also
I was
that
just going to
writing
add to
something
that.
that's unexpected is also
Yes.
great. Yeah, that's a nice.
Yes, it's hard to think of something unexpected. Kirsten.
I was just going to add, yeah, because I think Lee mentioned something about how it looks. I often, when I wrote my book, I would start by visualizing the scene. So I'd close my eyes and I'd just visualize the mood I wanted to create in that scene. And then I might get an opening image for that scene. They're in a cafe or they're in the traffic jam. The light is blinding. I have a hangover. So I visualize, and I found that very useful. Yeah.
Yeah, some people, there's a condition where people can't visualize. Does anybody have that here? I've had a few students who like can't imagine,
Called
which
Fantasia or something. I've had a student like that.
yeah. But once they start writing, then it seems to come. But so those of us who can visualize, we should really be thankful for our ability to be able to visualize. And it really does help, even just taking that couple of minutes, doing just a couple of breaths, closing your eyes and seeing it and focusing in on what does my character want in this scene? Where am I moving the reader? Because that's what we want to do, is manipulate reader emotions. That's really what we're doing. Anybody else? How did you go, Forby?
You kind of heard at the start of this, and please everybody just know that I'm like a middle grade YA, not a literary, so this is very basic rather than everybody's very poetic kind of writing. It was unusually warm for the time of year, and the classroom felt thick and stagnant. The ancient scroll lay heavy on the table, its tattered edges lifting. Adam's shirt clung to his body, the collar irritating his neck. As the marbles rolled over the scroll, magnetizing to their places, a mighty wind roared, lifting and swirling smoke around him. A deafening buzz filled the space as he watched the marbles rise, circling one another. Suddenly, the scroll flew up into the air and portrayed a grainy silhouette of a man. As his face appeared more clearly, Adam realized who it was. The deafening buzz fell into a thick silence, and his voice sounded like a faraway lullaby, getting louder. Adam's shirt felt like a prickle down his spine, making him shiver. Dad, it's all my fault.
Oh, I don't think you needed to make any excuses before you read that, for Belina.
Okay. It's a work in progress. But that's what I'm struggling with a lot of my scenes, and I've been wanting to know how to elevate like the sounds and because I've got a lot of action in my scenes, and I'm kind of struggling how to figure out how to create that like heavy feeling and sound, and like the being right in it, because when I write, I am like watching a movie in my head. I can barely see my computer screen, but I'm really worried that writing it like somebody else who reads it isn't going to feel all that and see it and hear it like I do. Like I can feel the wind, but I'm worried that it's not going to be portrayed. So this is a really good exercise. Thank you.
Yeah, it seems to be working very well for me, so
Okay.
don't worry.
Okay, good.
Just keep doing what you're doing, and also we can try and throw in, it's about first draft,
Yeah.
it's all fixable. And then we go back and think, okay, I had a recent mentorship with Linda Jiven, and she was all on about smells. And, I'm already on about smells, so I thought I had plenty of smells. But she wanted like 3 a page, which I think is a little bit too much. But, adding that smell as well, everything that brings it to make the reader experience it. That's what Kerstin was talking about at the beginning. It's the difference between just telling somebody something, and when we write in scenes, they experience it with us. That's what we want. We want them there feeling the wind chilling their bones with us. We want them there smelling that waft of decay that's coming up from under the floorboards. Oh, I've gone to a creepy story. It's because of iPhone Mary. Which sounds like, I don't know, something scary, but you're not.
No, she's scary.
Anybody else get something surprising or just like to share?
I can have a go.
Great. Go, Kate.
Yeah. It had definitely got colder in the bunker. There was a chill in the air that made Joanne's hands ache. The petrol stove flared blue heat that she used to warm them. She pulled at the baggy sleeve of her jumper and used it to grab the hot saucepan handle. Steam rose, warming the air around her. The soup made plop, plop noises. The flame had settled now, constant and reliable. Manny came in, carrying 2 dirty mugs. Plop, plop, plop. The soup simmered and bubbled. It made geysers that shot from the pan and splattered her jumper with creamy chicken blobs. You're a good woman, Joanne. Your husband is a lucky man.
Oh, yes. Great, Kate. I love the detail with the using your jumper for the saucepan handle. That really took us there. Maybe we've all done that at some point. But yeah, lovely. Good job.
And it made me really hungry.
Yeah, and actually we're out of time. It's an hour, but we do also want to say, who's coming to Italy? Please come to Italy. It's so fantastic, and we probably won't be going back. And it's this incredible palazzo. So we've got a couple of spots in the deluxe double. We've got another spot in a small double or triple. We've tried to make it as affordable as possible, but it is all, of course, euros, which does make it a bit pricey. You can get cheap flights with Scoot, but yeah, it's going to be amazing, and it's probably our only time in Italy. And Kirsten speaks fluent Italian. We're going to get an Italian class and cooking class, and we're going on excursions. And I don't know if you've seen the building, but it's incredible. It's a medieval palazzo, and we'd love to share it all with you. Kirsten, we were thinking about a special deal.
Yes, so if you sign up within the next 24 hours, you get well, if you sign up with a friend, and you can even bring a non-writing partner, you get 20% off the double room. And if you want to use that double room as a single, because let's face it, we all like our space, the single will be more expensive, obviously. However, we're giving you $500 off if you sign up within the next 24 hours. So that's a pretty good deal. Yes, so please join us. It's in Tuscany. I'm actually because I'm now in Germany, so I'm already looking at bicycles I might hire and bike rides I'll do around the Tuscan mountains. So you can make it a holiday. So you might want to come a week early and leave a week later. You can't stay on in the actual farmhouse, but Cortona or Italy has plenty of accommodation, and it won't be peak season, so it won't be that expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Please come.
Or spread the word, at least. If you can't come, please give us a hand. Tell your friends, anybody who might be interested, let them know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we probably won't go back, because filling Europe has been difficult for us because we have a mainly Australian audience. We will probably focus on Southeast Asia and Australia in the future.
Yeah, but we get to go to Italy in the meantime and stay in a palazzo with frescoes and have a singing chef, and
And a spa
it's a one-off. It's a big dream.
And we have the whole place to ourselves, so it's actually sprawling over, acreage and gardens and so on, in a beautiful
forest all around.
And the food.
Yes,
diet before you come, I think.
Food.
Yes, so we'd love to share all of that fun with you, and it's 7 nights there.
Joe says it sounds lovely. Good on you, Joe.
Yeah.
Is that by the way? We have a Joe. We're about to head off to Bali. I was already in Bali and dropped off the teaching materials, and then I went on. Is that Joe? Hello.
Yeah,
Joe.
there's Joe.
Hi, sorry, I've been busy all day because I fly tomorrow morning. So we're having a family dinner. So I was trying to get that organized. I was listening. And trying to write.
So you're joining us in Bali this next week.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Joe, you're just saying you're coming.
Bali. Yes.
I fly tomorrow. I've got a week there before I meet you. I'm looking forward to it. Very excited.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Flying Thursday.
Okay.
All right, our lovely, lovely people. Thank you so much for coming. I hope that was useful.
Thank
and
you.
you got some good tips. And
thanks, David. Thanks for your message.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Lots of love to you.
Good luck with your writing. Good luck with everybody's writing. And we'll see you
right up
online.
a storm.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye, Melina. Good to see you. Bye, Vanessa. Good to see you too.